What if you could walk into a room and instantly know who was lying to you, who was using you, and who was genuinely in your corner before a single word was even spoken? Machiavelli could, not because he was psychic, but because he was observant in a way most people will never be. He spent decades inside the most dangerous political courts in Renaissance Italy, surrounded by liars, manipulators, backstabbers, and power-hungry nobles. And he survived by mastering one single skill above all others: the ability to read people accurately and ruthlessly. These are his 10 techniques. Learn them, use them, because right now, someone in your life is already using it on you. Technique number 1. Watch what they do when there is nothing to gain. This is the foundation of Machiavellian observation. Anyone can be generous, kind, loyal when there is something in front of them, but strip away their reward, remove their audience, remove their belief, remove their incentive, and you will see the real person underneath. Machiavelli was obsessed with this. He believed that a man's true character only reveals itself in moments of zero personal advantage. So watch carefully. How does someone treat a waiter, a subordinate, a stranger with no power? How do they behave when no one important is watching? That is not a small detail. This is an entire portrait. Technique number 2. Listen to what they brag about. Most people think they reveal themselves through their secrets. Machiavelli knew the truth. People reveal themselves through their own pride. What a person boasts about tells you exactly what they value, what they are insecure about, and what they believe earns them status. The man who constantly brags about money is terrified of being seen as poor. The man who brags about connection is afraid of being seen as powerless. The man who brags about loyalty has almost certainly has been disloyal before. Don't listen to bragging as a noise. Listen to it as a confession. Every boast is a window, and Machiavelli always looked through it. Technique number 3. Observe how they handle being wrong. This single moment, the moment someone is corrected, contradicted, or proven wrong, reveals more about a person than methods of normal interaction. Machiavelli watched this obsessively in political courts. Does the person absorb the correction gracefully and adjust, or do they deflect, attack, minimize, or blame? The person who cannot be wrong cannot be trusted with power, because they will always try to protect their ego at the expense of reality. And in your life, a person who can never be wrong will always eventually make you the reason they failed. Technique number 4. Test them with small secrets. Machiavelli was surgical about trust. He never gave it completely, and he always tested it incrementally. One of his most practical techniques was sharing mirror, low-stakes information with someone privately. Inform them information that had no reason to travel further. Then he waited. If the information surfaced elsewhere, he had his answer without losing anything significant. Apply this today. You don't need to expose yourself to test someone else's discretion. Share some small details, something harmless, something that only matters if it moves. Then watch the room. The one who holds it in are rare. The ones who leaks it tells you everything you needed to know. Technique number 5. Watch their eyes during other people's success. Machiavelli understood envy better than almost any thinker in history. He knew it was the most disguised all human emotion. Almost no one will admit to it, and most people don't even recognize it themselves. So he didn't ask people how they felt about others' success. He watched them in the moment it happened. When someone else in the room receives praise, gets promoted, or wins, look away from the winner. Look at everyone else instead. The flash of irritation, the tightening jaw, the smile that doesn't reach the eyes. These are involuntarily. They cannot be faked with emotions fast enough. The fraction of second tells you exactly who in the room secretly wants you to fail. Technique number 6. Notice who they blame when things go wrong. Machiavelli despised men who could not take responsibility for moral reasons, for strategic ones. A man who always has external excuse is a man who will never improve, never be reliable, and never be safe to trust with anything important. Most critically, watch the pattern of who they blame. Do they always blame those beneath them or above them? Circumstances, luck, pattern. This reveals their worldwide view entirely, and their worldview tells you exactly how they will behave when you become inconvenient in their narrative. Technique number 7. Measure the gap between their words and their moment. Words are the easiest thing in the world to manufacture. Machiavelli trusted action. Machiavelli trusted actions, but even beyond actions, he trusted pace and follow through. When someone says that they will do something, how long does it take for them to begin? Do they move with urgency or with delay? Do they move with urgency or with delay? Do they circle back to their commitments unprompted, or do they wait to be chased? The gap between what someone says and their value, how quickly they move towards it, is one of the most honest measurement in the human behavior. Enthusiasm in words with slowness in actions is one of the most oldest forms of deception, and Machiavelli spotted it every single time. Technique number 8. Study how they treat people when they no longer is needed. Power shifts, status changes, people rise and fall. In those transitions, Machiavelli observed, you see the clearest picture of someone's true character. Watch how a person behaves towards someone who has lost their influence, lost their position, or their usefulness. Do they maintain the relationship or do they disappear quietly, moving towards whoever holds the power now? This tells you with absolute certainty how they will treat you the moment you become useless. The people who abandon others while the tide turns will abandon you in exactly the same way. It is not a question of if, only when. Technique number 9. Listen to what is never said. Machiavelli was attentive to silence as he watched to his speech, as he was to his speech. In political courts, what a man chooses not to say was often the most revealing than his most elaborate argument. Pay close attention to the topics someone constantly avoids, the question they deflect, the subject that makes them shift their seat or suddenly become vague. People build walls around their vulnerabilities, and those walls are visible if you know where to look. Consistent avoidance is not a coincidence, it is a protection. And whatever someone is protecting, that fiercely is almost always the key to understanding their true motivations. Technique number 10. Give them the moment of power and watch what they will do with it. This was Machiavelli's ultimate test, and the most revealing of all. Give someone a small amount of authority over a situation, a resource, or another person, and then step back and observe completely. Do they use it fairly or do they hoard it? Do they wield it with humility and sudden arrogance? Machiavelli believed that power doesn't corrupt people. It reveals them. It strips away their performance and shows their instinct underneath. Before you trust someone with anything significant in your life, your business, your loyalty, your vulnerabilities, give them something small first. The way they handle that small power is perfect preview of how they will handle the large one. So Machiavelli wasn't paranoid, he was prepared. There is a difference. The paranoid man sees enemies everywhere and trusts no one. The prepared man observes clearly, tests carefully, and extends trust only where it has been earned, not assumed. These 10 techniques aren't just about being cold. These 10 techniques aren't about becoming cold or suspicious. They are about developing that one skill that protects everything else you are building. The ability to see people as they actually are, not as they present themselves. In a world full of performance, clarity is power, and Machiavelli gave us the tools to find it. Now you have them too. So subscribe if you want to see this kind of content.